You just had a birthday, maybe you complained about it, maybe you felt a small ache, watching the number climb, but here is something strange: if you had been born 40,000 years ago, you would already be old, ancient enough to be rare, ancient enough to be revered. The real answer to why you fear getting older isn't really about age at all, it's about something far stranger. For most of human history, you did not get old, you got eaten, infected, starved, or hurt, and you died young. The average life expectancy at birth for most of our ancestors hovered somewhere between 25 and 35 years. That number sounds brutal, but it hides something important. It doesn't mean people dropped dead at 30. It means so many infants and children died that the average got dragged down low. If you survived childhood, your odds got dramatically better. Still, by today's standards, the math was unforgiving. Anthropologist Hillard Kaplan spent years studying the Samane, an indigenous population in Bolivia who still live a lifestyle close to our ancestral past. His research found that even among groups without modern medicine, those who survived early childhood often reached their 60s or 70s. So why does the popular image of the caveman who died at 30 persist? Because it's a half-truth wearing the costume of a whole one. Here's the part that should unsettle you: death wasn't random, it was scheduled, in a sense, by your environment. Infection killed you, childbirth killed you, a fall, a wrong mushroom, a predator in the dark, a winter with no stored fat. Your body wasn't built to fail at 30, it was built to survive 30 different kinds of threats, and most of the time, it lost to at least one. Think about that for a second. Your body today carries the architecture of a creature optimized for surviving danger, not for living comfortably to 90. Your stress response, your cravings for sugar and fat, your instinct to startle at sudden movement, none of it was designed for a world with grocery stores and seatbelts. It was designed for a world where the next threat could come from anywhere, and the cost of hesitation was your life. So how did anyone get old at all? This is where the story gets genuinely strange. Paleoanthropologists Rachel Kasperi and Sang-Hee Lee examined fossilized teeth from different points in human evolution to estimate the ages at which our ancestors died. Their research, published in the early 2000s, found something remarkable. Around 30,000 years ago, there was a dramatic spike in the number of individuals living well into their 50s and 60s. Older adults didn't just become more common, they became common enough to change everything. Why does this matter? Because grandparents are a kind of technology. An old woman who has already raised children knows which plants are poison and which heal a fever. An old man who has survived 40 winters knows where the herds go when the rivers freeze. Kasperi's research supports what's now called the grandmother hypothesis, that the survival of older individuals, especially post-reproductive women, helped entire communities raise more children successfully, because there were more hands, more memory, more accumulated knowledge keeping everyone alive. Aging itself became an evolutionary advantage, not despite getting older, because of it. The old weren't a burden on ancient society, they were its memory bank, its first libraries, walking around on two legs. Now here's the twist that should genuinely surprise you: the fear you feel about aging today, the dread of wrinkles, of slowing down, of becoming irrelevant, has almost nothing to do with biology and almost everything to do with culture. Biographer James Vaupel, who spent decades studying the science of human longevity, pointed out that lifespan has roughly doubled in the last 150 years, largely due to public health, sanitation, and medicine, not because evolution suddenly rewired us. Your body is, in a real sense, more ancient than your environment. Walking around in Stone Age hardware running modern software, and the mismatch creates a kind of quiet anxiety that has no name. Why do you flinch at the idea of turning 40, 50, 60? Why does a culture obsessed with youth treat aging like a disease instead of an achievement? Because somewhere along the way, you stopped thinking of older age as rare and valuable, and started thinking of it as something to outrun. But your ancestors knew better. To them, surviving to old age wasn't a slow decline, it was proof you'd outwitted the infections, the famines, the predators, the difficult births, the brutal winters. An elder wasn't someone fading out of usefulness. Elder was someone who had already won, over and over, against odds that killed almost everyone around them. Here's where it gets personal: every time you take medicine for an infection that would have killed your ancestors, you are quietly defying tens of thousands of years of expected death. Every time you survive childbirth, recover from a wound, or simply wake up another year older, you are doing something your body was never statistically guaranteed to do. You are living proof of a winning streak your ancestors would have found almost miraculous, and yet you spend so much energy resenting the wrinkles, mourning the gray hair, treating the number on the birthday cake like bad news. That's backward. Maybe age was never meant to be hidden. died over, or apologized for. Maybe it was meant to be worn the way your ancestors wore it. As a kind of armor, a visible record of survival, the physical proof that you outlasted the dangers that took so many others early. The irony is that the very thing modern culture treats as decline, your ancestors treated as the rarest form of success. So the next time you catch yourself dreading another birthday, try something different. Don't think about what you're losing. About what your body has already survived to get here. Diseases your great-great-grandparents had no defense against. Dangers your ancestors faced without warning. Odds that, for most of human history, simply weren't in your favor. You didn't just get older, you won.